Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee. First item on the agenda is to nominate a chair. However, we have the actual chair of the Licensing Committee with us today, so that's not necessary. So I'll hand over to the chair to proceed.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Councillor Claire Udy. Please be assured that we've put appropriate cleansing and social distancing measures in place to ensure that this meeting is undertaken in a COVID-secure manner. Limited public seating has been made available. However, this meeting is also being webcast to allow the public to observe remotely if they so wish. The public seating area is not in view of the cameras used to webcast this meeting. Those people making deputation will not be seen on camera, but what they say will be live streamed. If the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and public gallery by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts. Please assemble at the turning circle at the end of King Henry Street past the University's Park building. Just down there. In order to comply with the Guildhall's Trust Fire Marshal regulations, anybody who signed at the Guildhall reception desk should sign out when leaving the building at today's meeting. Members of the press and public are also permitted to record the meeting on the understanding it neither disrupts the meeting nor records those stating explicitly that they do not wish to be recorded at this meeting as the people making deputations. Please can everyone use the microphones and remember to switch them off when they have finished, because if you're on camera it will just stay on you. It's quite disturbing. Please can everyone, finally at 11 o'clock today we will observe the National 2-Minute Silence Remembrance Day. I've had it proposed that we adjourn at 10 to 11 because we are very close to the cenotaph here, so if people want to go down to pay their respects at 11 o'clock, and we will resume this meeting at 11:05 today. Just want to see a nod of heads, so everyone's okay with that? Thank you very much. I have an alarm set for 10 to on my watch which will vibrate, so then I can wind down things for everyone. So we move to agenda item number 2. Any declarations of members' interests? I have none. No. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 3, which is the Licensing Act 2003. We've done introductions? Why have I not done introductions? I do introductions, I've said this. Licensing Act 2003, premises licence, application for a summary review for the Quickie Mart food and tipple, 111 to 113 Albert Road, Southsea, Hampshire. So we'll go around and do introductions around the room. It's quite awkward to do it, but I'd like to do the 3 councillors first, and then I'll go from my left round the room to the right, if that's okay. Thank you. So my name is Councillor Claire Udy and I'm the chair of the Licensing Committee.
Councillor Ian Holder, St Thomas Ward.
Councillor Lee Mason, Caution Ward.
Good morning, Derek Stone, Principal Licensing Officer.
Good morning, Ben Attrell. I'm a solicitor employed by the Council. I'll be advising the subcommittee today whilst they make their decision.
I'm John Walsgrove and I'm the solicitor for the applicant, and my client is Aaron M. Panchalingham, who's the owner and licence holder of the premises.
Lisa Gallagher from Democratic Services. Karen Lawson, also from Democratic Services.
Nikki Humphreys, Licensing Manager.
The applicant, Karen Whiteaway.
Hugh Mason, Councillor for St Jude Ward, local resident and deputy.
Thank you for that. I'm just going to go through the process for the people that don't normally come to these meetings, just to explain how we go through them today. So at the moment, the licensing officer, Mr. Derek Stone, will go through the application, and then us members will be able to ask questions of the licensing officer. The applicant for the review will be able to ask Mr. Stone some questions over the presentation, and anyone who's submitted representations over the application, which will be Ms. Humphreys, will be able to ask questions too, and other persons who are and yourself, Councillor Mason, sorry, I almost forgot, and other responsible authorities who have submitted anything, which is none, so they don't need to be here, and the premises licence holder, but it's Mr. Walsgrove, isn't it, on behalf of the licence holder. Thank you. Then it's the applicant's case, where you will then speak, Ms. Whiteaway, and the responsible authority or interested parties applying for the review presents their case. Members, ourselves, will ask you a question, And then other persons who have submitted representation, so that would be Councillor Mason or Nikki Humphreys, will ask questions. And then the premises licence holder, but Mr Walsgrove's on behalf, will then ask questions. And then we don't have any responsible authorities here. Would that count under you, Nikki? Would you count as... Just to clarify that, please.
I suppose, yes, as the licensing authority, we are a responsible authority.
So then Miss Humphreys will then present her case, and then members ask questions. It's the same process as before. Any other deputations? Just to clarify a question, Councillor Mason is here and has given a deputation, has made a representation before. Mr Mason is entitled to speak, am I correct? Then Mr Mason, you are able to have your time, if such, and the same process happens again. Right then. And then we'll move on to the premises licence holder's case, and the same process happens again. We will then move to summing up, where it goes in the order of Mr Stone, Miss Whiteaway, and then back to Mr Walsgrove, and then we will adjourn this process, and we will come to our decision. I'm not too sure what we're doing. Are we reconvening this meeting, Mr Attrell, to give our decision, or will the people, because it's a public meeting, I guess we are, I've just answered my own question, or we're going to be writing people an email?
It's entirely a matter for you as to how you want to proceed, but ordinary course would be to reconvene and announce the decision. I don't think there's any particular issue with that today.
Not at all. I'm totally happy. It's a public meeting after all. We should be giving our decision in public rather than people having to call up and all sorts. So we'll give a time for everyone to reconvene, and we'll announce the decision today. Sorry, that sounded a bit fragmented. It's been a very long time since I've been in a subcommittee in person, haven't I? So I'm going to move on to Mr Stone, who will give an outline of what today's all about. Thank you.
Members, this is an application for the review of the premises licence for Quickie Mart 111 to 113 Albert Road, Southsea, submitted by Karen Whiteaway, who lives opposite the store. I don't propose to take you through the whole of my report, as you'll be hearing from others, so I'll briefly summarise my report if I may. You will see from the application that there is regular noise and disturbance caused by people using these premises and from people who hang around outside. This is the second review of these premises, the first being in June 2014, which was lodged by a resident who used to live practically above the premises, but I believe has since moved away from the area. As in the 2014 review, and with this hearing, the allegations are refuted by the management and their legal representative, Mr Walsgrove. Quickie Mart is run by Mr and Mrs Aranem. They have multiple licensed premises in Portsmouth, but describe Albert Road as the flagship or their mother store. The shop is in a busy area with mixed commercial and residential use, but equally is the only premises within the immediate area that is open 24 hours a day. The sale of alcohol 24/7 is the only licensable activity authorised and has been permitted since 2006. The review was properly advertised and all of the responsible authorities were made aware of this application. Members, you will see at Appendix C a representation from Nikki Humphreys, our licensing services manager, who has detailed incidents occurring at the premises and outside. Additionally, there are representations from the ward councillor, Councillor Mason. Several residents have also submitted representations, and there is one representation in support from Mr Ahmed at the Akash. The representation from Estefania Dogan, a nearby resident, raises a concern that the premises will suffer consequences due to the actions of a few individuals, but also details the nuisance generated by the presence of these people outside the premises. Members, as part of the application process, we have been supplied with mobile phone footage and some photographs of activities at the premises. I believe Mr Walsgrove will address you on the viewing of these, but there are two clips that, in my submission, show alcohol being purchased in the store and then handed to people sat outside on the pavement. The review proceedings are seen as a key community protection, and individuals are entitled to seek a review where problems are associated with identifiable premises. There is nothing to prevent the committee from issuing an informal warning or instructing that written advice be sent to the licence holders. Or, if more formal action is deemed appropriate, you may modify the conditions, exclude or reduce their licensable activities at the premises, remove the DPS, suspend the licence for up to 3 months, or you can revoke the licence. Members, I don't think I need to say any more at this stage, but I will be available throughout the proceedings to assist where possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Stone. Members' questions? No? Ms Whiteaway? Any questions of Mr Stone at all? No? Nikki, any questions? I guess not. Mr Mason? Councillor Mason? Any questions of Mr Stone? No?
No, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. And Mr Walsgrove?
Just one. You mentioned one of the video clips you say shows purchase of alcohol inside the shop and then being given to people outside. Who submitted that clip and which one is it?
Well, there's 2 clips. It is... you have been given them. It shows people leaving the store, so we don't have a clip of people actually purchasing alcohol inside the premises, but it sees the individuals on the 2 clips coming out and what would appear to be cans of alcohol being passed to people sat on the pavement. They have been supplied to you, Mr Walsgrove. And they are available for viewing today if needs be.
Members, I would very much like to see this footage, and if you have read in the papers, we need to move it to exempt session in order to see that footage. I propose that we do see this footage, and you're happy to see that footage too. So could we move into closed session, and we will see that footage now, if that's okay. And we can talk about who took the footage, etc., etc. Okay, thank you.
Can I just make a very brief submission on that? If the person who's produced the footage is not here, then obviously there is substantial prejudice to my client not being able to ask them questions about that footage. So that's one of the reasons why I asked which clips have been produced by which people, so that you know whether those people are actually in the room and whether you should view clips from people who aren't in the room and cannot be asked questions about the footage they've taken. And the second part of the submission is that footage contains images of a private premises, which is the Quickie Mart. It's fine for people to take pictures, in my view, of things which are happening in public out in the street, but it's not acceptable to take, without the consent of the owner of the premises, footage of those private premises. But that's a matter for you to decide whether you should or shouldn't see any of those clips on the basis of those 2 representations.
Thank you. Then I'm going to go into questions from Mr Atchell now, if we're in exempt session. Yeah. Because I wanted to ask names of people before I